We got a huge one. Hey guys, so I am out on a different spot after work. This is a spot my wife and one of her friends came kayaking for Memorial Day weekend, and it looked prime for some good limb lines. So I ran out here Thursday after work, hoping that not too much boat traffic or people would be out here just yet, which it looks like is the case. There was only one other boat at the launch, and there was an old man bank fishing at the launch, and I talked to him for a little bit, and he said the gar were chasing his popping cork, or his cork. So he said he hopes I have better luck than he did. So I'd really like to set some live bluegill out here on this river. I'll flip it around and kind of show you what the area looks like. All right, so this is what we're working with here. There's a lot of trees that kind of look like this. They just overhang the water real nice. But yeah, it's not very wide, so it's protected from the wind. So I should be able to get out here pretty much whenever and not have to worry about the wind. So that's really nice. It looks like it's gonna be a good spot to do what I normally do. So let me get to brim fishing and see if we can't put a few live bluegill in the boat. Hey guys, welcome back. We're out here, just like I said, to a new spot to me. I think it's gonna be pretty good. It looks like my worms were trying to escape. I don't know what the deal is. I took some worms out the worm bed, some Indian blues, try to get rid of these bad worms. It's probably kind of hot in there. If y'all have seen my previous videos, you know I'm really not a fan of these worms because they're so hard to hook. All right guys, we got one. We have a bluegill on an Indian blue. Well, I don't know what kind of perch this is, but this is going to be catfish bait, 100%. Now I'd really like to get a couple more, and I want to try cut bait and live bait this trip. If I can get a couple more, I would put it to the test. So let me toss it back where I caught this one and see what we got. All right guys, we are at the first limb line, and I'm gonna put that bluegill we just caught on this one, since I don't have a bait bucket or anything with an aerator. Ooh, it looks like it's pretty deep, so that's good. So I'll just get this tied on, and what I have here is my square nut going down to a circle hook, and I used God Country's Hunting and Fishing, his method of tying this hook here, where he does a couple half hitches around, and it should sit out a little better. So there we go, baited up just like I see it in everybody else's videos, and we'll put them down there. And I forgot to put on my gloves while I was out here. And since this is the first time I'm fishing this area, I'm gonna make a Google Earth map and mark all my fishing spots with where I'm setting lines, because I don't want to leave any out here, and then I'll know if I'm supposed to have a line here. So I'll mark this one, and then we'll go down, and it's going to be the catfish Kool-Aid versus live bluegill this trip. All right guys, we got the catfish Kool-Aid going up against that live bluegill this trip. This little stretch of the river is pretty nice because I can go back and forth both sides of the river and set some lines. There's a lot more trees here that are conducive to limb lines than the spot I've been going to, and you can tell because of all the old lines in all these trees. This one looks pretty fresh compared to some of the other ones. It looks like they just come and cut their lines, or maybe it's older lines and they just left them here. So we'll just get this one tied up, and keep on moving. I will try to do some more bluegill fishing, and if I catch some gills, I may change some of these sets. So this is the set right here. Looks like a pretty good tree to me, and that's the Catfish Kool-Aid. All right guys, I'll show you the rig I'm using. I have these new bobber stops, which are like the black plastic ones that you slide on. I'm really liking those. They're way better than the tie-on line ones. I have a little slip cork, and if you get the rubber bobber stops, you don't need a bead on the top. It can't fit through this hole here. So what I did was I put a split shot to give me a little bit of weight, and I did put a bead just in case my slip shot falls off or for whatever reason. And then I went down here, and I wanted the option to run a jig with a different type of hook, so I did use a quick connect, and I have this long shank, probably number 10. It's super small, and I took this 1-inch gulp minnow and I just fed it through the side of it just like that. I've had good luck this way. That's an Indian blue that's still on the hook, and let's get to fishing. I'm optimistic. We already caught one bluegill this trip, so I think we have the opportunity to catch a couple more and do some live bait lines and have a little bit different experience. All right guys, I switched back to a worm, and we got, oh wow, we got a huge one, red-breasted sunfish. Look at this thing. Wow, do I want to use him as bait? God dog, look at that. He took it real far. Might have to use him as cut bait. Yep, gonna have to use this boy as cut bait. Now that's a bluegill. That is a bluegill. We'll get about 3 or 4 chunks of this one, and we're gonna use him as some bait for sure. So let me get him all situated, and then we got a tree right in front of us we can tie on to. So all right guys, that was super exciting for me. That's the first real nice bluegill I've caught in a pretty long time. That was on a red wiggler. We're gonna keep beating the banks, knocking the cypress knees, and see if we can't get a few more bluegill, maybe one a little bit smaller, so I could use them as a live bait. All right guys, I was beating the bank, and I ended up catching another nice bluegill. It's about the size of my hand. So I'm gonna go back here and hook them right. I really should be using bigger hooks for this, but this is what I've got. So this is what we're gonna do. So there he is right here, and we're gonna throw him in. I'll mark it, and I'm gonna mark it as a bluegill so that we can see if we do any better on bluegill, cut bait, or the Catfish Kool-Aid. All right guys, we just rode past our first line, and it's kind of what I feared would happen. The water dropped so much that these lines are a lot shallower than they were when I set them. This one coming up here looks like it's almost all the way out the water. It might be a foot in there. So I'm not very optimistic at this point, because we are shallow. Yep, that is real shallow, and there ain't nothing on this one. I'll grab that one when we come back. All right, I'll keep checking, but I'm, God, disappointed. All right, guys. We didn't get skunked, but we got a freaking shoe pick. Which, using bluegill cut bait, I figured that's a big one too. I figured this would happen. God dang shoe pick. All right, guys, this might be the only fish of the day. This shoe pick. Real unfortunate. You can see this water line here. It is real low, and I think maybe that's part of the problem, but we'll keep on checking. All right, so I was coming to check these lines, and I think one of them that had the bluegill cut bait may broken the limb. I'm gonna go check it one more time, and it was on the other side of the river where I caught that shoe pig. I'm supposed to have 2 lines over there per my GPS, so I'm gonna go check and see if my GPS was off a little bit or what the deal is. So I'm gonna come down here and check these 2 trees. I don't know if I put it on this corner tree and that's the one I missed. They have a little cut for somebody's house back there. That's the only thing I can think of on how I would have missed one if I just skipped, but we'll get this figured out and get back to it. All right, guys, this is very strange and I don't know what happened. The line I had here, it looks like the limb broke. I see the tag on the bank. So I'm gonna go pull on that tag and see what's over there. I hope it's not an alligator. I would hope it's a snapping turtle, you know, but I don't know why or what could have broke this line. I guess it's definitely not a catfish, but I'm real curious on what this is supposed to be. I can kind of see my line coming over here, so I think I'm gonna paddle that way. Okay, there's part of the line. Yeah, that's the hook right there. There's nothing on it, but I did find my line, so that's nice. Yep, here it is. Here is the hook. Hook doesn't even look straightened out or anything, but this line is on the freaking bank, and it looks like something broke this tree branch and ran up the bank, maybe. I don't know. This is strange. It must have been an alligator. I'm gonna have to get up there, and this was extremely unexpected. I'm glad I came and looked again, because I did think it was pretty weird that my line was just missing. Well, guys, I just got done picking up all my lines and I'm heading back to the truck. We didn't end up with any catfish this trip, but I was pretty excited to catch a few bluegill and use those as bait. We did get that shoe pick, and the craziest thing is that line that got the limb broken. Now, that limb was not a super small limb. That thing was probably 3/4 of an inch in diameter, and that thing got snapped and pulled up on the bank, and then the hook went back towards the river. So I'm kind of thinking it was an alligator that got a hold of that bait, broke the limb, ran up the bank, ran back down, and then it wrapped around some cypress. So it just had a lot of pressure on it, and the hook came off. I don't know any other reason on why it would do that, unless it was hooked. Something big was hooked before the water dropped, to where that wasn't really the bank at that point. Could have been a big catfish if that happened. Could have been a big turtle. which would be unfortunate that I didn't get them. But it was a mystery. At least we got our line back, and we will go check our turtle trap and see what else we're going to get into this weekend. So I know this wasn't the most exciting video. I was hoping to catch a few fish for you guys, but a new spot that looks to be pretty promising. And we'll try again and catch you on the next one.